The wait is over. Dive into Audible's most anticipated collection, The Best of 2025, featuring top audiobooks, podcasts, and originals across all genres. Our editors have carefully curated this year's must-listens, from brilliant hidden gems to the buzziest new releases. Every title in this collection has earned its spot. This is your go-to for the absolute best in 2025 audio entertainment. Whether you love thrillers, romance, or nonfiction, your next favorite listen awaits. Discover why there's more to imagine when you listen at audible.com/bestoftheyear.
The amazing Kate Casey.
Welcome back for another episode of Reality Life with Kate Casey. I hope that you had a great Thanksgiving holiday. Make sure that you go back and listen to the episodes I did last week. There are a couple huge nuggets. I don't want you to miss out on it. For example, if you watch Real Housewives of any city, you will be interested to hear my interview with Lisa Hochstein. She's on Real Housewives of Miami. Now, you may remember she became a big deal because her divorce played out throughout the season, and all of the women came in support of her. And watching someone that wealthy have such a public divorce was fascinating to watch. So in the interview, she talks about what was really happening behind the scenes of her marriage, the marital imbalances. And then, very interesting to hear her compare her marriage to Lenny, her ex-husband, to that of the marriage of Bronwyn and Todd on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. So I recommend going back, especially to listen to that episode. I think that, that's one of the great things about Real Housewives is it is a window into different marital situations. And I think a lot of people probably saw themselves in Lisa in that marriage to Lenny. So again, go back and listen to that. I have a lot of very funny episodes. Chris and Polly from Selling the OC join me for an episode when we talk about Selling the OC. Don't miss out on that one as well. And then for my bonus episodes, you can hear about my trip to Beverly Hills this weekend, a bunch of star sightings, and an epic 3-hour hike in Malibu with Kathy Griffin. So go back and listen to that on Apple Podcast and on Patreon, patreon.com/KKC. I hope that you've been watching Southern Charm. I wanted to talk about it for a minute because we're only 2 episodes into this season. This is one of those shows where, first of all, it's got great friendship dynamics and relationship dynamics. It's a group of people in their 30s and 40s in Charleston, South Carolina. And what I like about this season is that you've got some new cast members. There's nothing better for me than bringing in new cast members for a reality show. Sometimes they get a little bit stale. They need to adopt the Menudo model, which is to swap people in and out to keep the shows fresh. So this season, you've got Sally. She's one of the cast members. She's newer. She's been on, this is her 2nd season, but she's in rare form. She's single and she is looking to hook up with Craig in particular. Now, wise, astute reality TV observers noted that Sally had been in a season of The Bachelor years ago, and she wasn't even on the show that long and it became a big TV moment of the time. So she now knows how to make reality TV. So what's interesting is this season, she's so into Craig, which is kind of strange. Now, Craig was in a relationship with Paige from Summer House, which is also a Bravo show. And when they were together, I'm sure that they exponentially grew their social media following, but also the ancillary business opportunities. I'm sure that they doubled their net worth. So when Sally is all of a sudden interested in Craig, you're running through the numbers, the situations in your head. Did Sally always have an attraction to Craig, but just didn't feel like she could say anything because he seemingly was on the track to get married? Or is Sally so good at reality TV, she knows that if she's with him, there's a possibility that she could get even a fraction of the opportunities that Craig and Paige garnered being part of a couple on the same network? Which is like, if you work in publicity for that network, you're like, this is a real win for us. Both shows are going to get attention. Both cast members make appearances on the other shows. There were people that were referring to Paige and Craig as mom and dad, which, by the way, troubled me to my core. But what am I going to do? So I wonder if she's looking at this like, this could be a big payday for me if I align myself with someone like him. The thing is, though, if they were on a reality show and they lived in like Minneapolis and she was a nurse and he worked in a law office, would they have anything in common? That to me is what's really fascinating. Now, also on the show, you have Austin, and he's been in a relationship with a normal person. This person never was on a reality show. She seems like she has a normal job, normal friends, normal family, and happens to live in another city. So we barely see her on the show. And frankly, he seems a little bit bored with her. And I think Madison even says that in the episode. And then I have to wonder, has the relationship just run its course for him? Or because he's on a reality show, he's starting to think not so much about romantic compatibility, but social media compatibility. Like, where can I take this? Is this person going to be able to go on the ride with me? Is it drag because she's got a normie life? And this is where I think it would probably be very hard for somebody on a reality show, especially one that's popular, to find someone because of all the moving parts to it. So to me, those are the most interesting parts of the show right now. And of course, like I said, you can just dip into it and watch the episodes, and you're going to get the hang of it right away. And even more fun to go back and to watch old seasons. Then you can see sort of the big trajectory of the evolution that someone has taken. So Southern Charm is on Bravo, and again, you can dip into it. Now, in this episode, I want to give you a guide to the secret lives of Mormon wives. Over the Thanksgiving holiday, there was a viral moment, and I know some of you are thinking, what is with this show? And for some of you that are watching the show, you may want some more context. So I wanted to give you a guide to who you need to know on the show, what the background is, what's at stake here. So the show follows a group of Utah-based influencers, and they are part of this MomTok community. And they gained fame on TikTok and Instagram as Mormon mom influencers. Now, this builds off of a real-life scandal in 2022. One of the cast members, one of the group of members from this MomTok, her name was Taylor Frankie Paul. She went viral after revealing that she and her then husband and other Mormon couples had participated in soft swinging, intimate encounters outside your marriage, but under certain restrictions. So in layman's terms, somebody has a party, a bunch of couples are there, they're all swapping partners, and everybody's okay with it. Just for normal people, that's like I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what now? Add to that, they were all very young, attractive, and Mormon couples who already had a social media following. So of course, the good people at Hulu go, well, we need to make a show about this. And they were right, because they're young, they have complicated lives. Most of them are already divorced. So you add in, okay, crazy exes, check, small children, fun, completely irreverent, even better. And then also the fact that they're already seasoned social media people. So they have less of a hang up of like, do I expose this? They're already in the habit of exposing things because once they revealed the soft swinging, they exponentially grew their social media following. And of course, the opportunities that come with it. So you've got this going on. Now, before we even get into that, I want you to understand why Mormon moms became the perfect storm of internet fame. And I can say this because I was witness to this as I did my blog many years ago. So it is the inevitable, chaotic final form of a very specific American phenomenon, Mormon mommy blogger to MomTok pipeline. So for the last 15 years, I'd say, Mormon women have quietly dominated the internet and social media. You may not realize it, but some of the biggest lifestyle blogs, Pinterest boards, YouTube, family channels, even the early Instagram empires were all run by Mormon women. So you may be asking yourself, why is that? Because culturally, the LDS church basically invented the concept of commercialized domesticity. They were doing the clean girl aesthetic before clean girl aesthetic even knew she existed. They were doing the trad wife content way before anyone touched that space. Because Mormon culture emphasizes family, homemaking, creativity, aesthetic presentation, community, and most importantly, documentation. Scrapbooking isn't just a hobby in Utah. It's almost a competitive sport. So if you give someone an iPhone and a Lightroom preset, we're good to go. You're going to be an influencer right away. So add into that LDS families have multiple kids. They have homes that look like they were designed by Architectural Digest. They live in communities where everyone helps each other's social media because everybody's kind of doing the same thing and promoting. And they have big followings, so they're just sharing their followers. And then also, there's just built-in content, built-in camera operators, and built-in audiences because they're part of this big community. They understand branding. And if you've ever seen a Mormon mom's pantry, you can see it's all about branding. You've got color-coded cereals, labeled containers, a wall of clear acrylic storage run like it's a small airport. They're so good at making content that people are fascinated by. So if you're in another part of the country and you're just trying to wrangle your kids and still look attractive and like run a household, you might scroll through and find them and wonder, okay, like this is fascinating. How are they doing it? And then suddenly you're kind of like, okay, what are the names of their kids and who are they married to? Oh, and that person is a cousin of that person. Did they live in the same town? And you're wondering, what are their lives like? I think what makes it so interesting is that TikTok basically became their Roman Empire. Choreographed family videos, they're already doing it. Clean homes, check. Attractive couples with 8 hours a day of natural lighting, we got it. Matching pajamas, they invented it. And they're giving you access to their lives, their morning routine, all the way to the end of the day. And then you enter MomTok. This is a universe of Utah moms. They've got perfect lashes, perfect hair, marriage dynamics that felt like you were watching a very friendly cult. And at the center of the MomTok solar system was one star. They became wholesome, aesthetically pleasing, family-friendly corner of the internet until Taylor, as mentioned, went live on TikTok, and she announced that she and her husband and several couples in that friend group were soft swinging. So it's almost like if the cast of the Little House on the Prairie announced they'd been running a secret Eyes Wide Shut club behind the general store. So of course, the internet exploded. Every mom influencer gossip page exploded. And then Hulu, like I said, rightly went, okay, we can make a show out of this. Now, here's a twist that the show doesn't always make super clear. There's only a fraction of the women that came from that original swinging fallout that actually were cast for the show. In fact, only one cast member, Taylor, is publicly known to have participated in it. So the rest, they were sort of MomTok adjacent. They were at the dance parties. They were in the friend group. They were in the group chats. Maybe they heard about the swinging. Maybe they got invited. We don't know. But maybe they pretended to be shocked while absolutely knowing everything. But officially, they were not the swingers. But the internet did not care about nuance because they're already sucked in, because they're already kind of following this very fascinating MomTok world. So one minute they're filming TikToks to trendy songs, and the next minute people are drawing diagrams like it's a murder board on True Detective, trying to find out who slept with who. So Hulu puts together this group, and the center of public curiosity, the women are already going viral for all the wrong reasons. And then you have the supporting cast who probably said yes, because if the internet is already accusing you of swinging, you might as well get paid for it. So let's walk through the cast of who the women are, so it gives you glimpses for the whole picture. So you've got Taylor, Frankie, Paul. She's the nucleus. She's the epicenter, the sun around which all the drama orbits. So if MomTok was a solar system, she's the flaming star in the middle, burning everything down. She has 2 kids with her ex-husband, Tate, the man that she was soft swinging with, collectively as a couple with other couples. After the scandal, she starts dating Dakota, the man that she says she broke the rules with, and she has a baby with him. Taylor is also the only cast member whose real-life legal trouble became day one plot points, because she got arrested after a fight with Dakota, charged with domestic assault, and the footage went everywhere, and they included it in episode 1, and every woman in the group suddenly has thoughts about whether she should be allowed back into the friend group. Can you imagine, like a picture-perfect, like Stepford wife kind of neighborhood, and then you find out that there's this soft swinging situation. One of the main members of this group has been married 2 times, or at least has been with 2 different men, has children with both of them. And they're like, I don't know if she could be back in the group. It doesn't even have to be on TV. People are like, this is like a book that you would, make into a movie. So Taylor's the only actual alleged swinger on the show, the architect of the scandal, the main character, and arguably the only reason that the series exists. Also notable, she's the next Bachelorette on ABC. I know. Then you have Demi, and she is the one who shows up to this show ready to clock in for work. She came prepared with storylines, basically in a labeled binder. She's polarizing, she's dramatic, she's reality TV ready. She's in a blended family. She's divorced once, now married to Brett, a former BYU quarterback. And I know Brett's first wife, Angie, and she has explained to me that he basically is like a legend. Like the guy walks the streets, everybody knew him because he was a big football star. Now, she's openly said she wasn't part of that swinging circle. She claims she saw the vibes and politely exited stage left. So that's interesting too. So she has this ongoing feud with Jesse that devolves into the infamous Fruity Pebbles situation, which I'll get back to. Most recently, she's been accusing producers of staging scenes, setting up cliffhangers, and telling cast members to pitch stories because the footage was boring. And she says she's been scapegoated for the things the production forced. And you're wondering, how do you still have a job? Because you're saying that the producers are basically ruining the show in your life. So she's basically the smoke behind the scandal. Then you've got Jen. Now, Jen's whole shtick is that she's Mormon, but like the chill kind. She drinks, she curses, she has premarital sex. She's married to Zach, who seems to have a very hard with the fact that his wife is the breadwinner, especially because he comes from an established family who thought he would probably become a doctor. So her storyline is like, basically like my husband and I need therapy, but Hulu offered us a TV show instead. She's the friend in the every group who says out loud the thing that everybody else is trying to politely bury. Also notable, she was on the last season of Dancing with the Stars with the husband in tow and the little kids because I don't think he's working. Another thing that's fascinating about these mom influencers, again, they're the breadwinners. So you have these husbands, these dopey husbands who probably were told by their parents that they were the second coming, who are now trying to figure out their own identities because their wives have exploded on the internet now on television. Then you have Whitney. Now, Whitney is the dancer, the energy ball. TikTok viral once because she made a choreography content in a hospital room while her infant was sick. Strange thing, like the baby is like, just struggling, after some health crisis, and she's just making these weird dance videos. So the internet has really not let her live down that moment. She's married to Connor and they have a growing family, and she brings that high gloss influencer vibe. Her storylines are a mix of trying to maintain her brand. She deals with friend group fractures and occasionally having a complete meltdown in a Sprinter van. Also notable, she was on last season of Dancing with the Stars, got pretty far, and now is going to be on Broadway in Chicago. So she's moving on up. Macy, one of the calmer presences. She's married, mom of 3, known for that very traditional Mormon wife energy. Not part of the swinging group, but she was in the friend circle, and her vibe is very much, I'm just trying to keep my children alive while these women lose their minds. Layla is the wild card. She's funny, she's chaotic, she's very unfiltered, which I like. And she just kind of gives this, I can't believe everybody's acting like this energy. Now there's a group of less core cast, friends of the group. Michaela, she's another steady one in the group. Married, mom, a little more private. Surprisingly this season, she's talking about how she and her husband have a lack of sex in their marriage. Again, they're going to say things that other people will not say. And then Jesse, deeply wrapped into the Demiverse, the feud, the allegations, the off-camera social media battles. She brings tears, accusations, and enough Utah County rumor mill fodder to power the national grid. Then you have Miranda. Now, this is a season 2 arrival. She enters the show like someone walking back into a burning house with a marshmallow on a stick. She was around MomTok during the scandal era, but was not a swinger. So her arrival reopens all the old wounds that the cast absolutely did not want reopened. So basically, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives is ultimately a show about perfection cracking. These women built lives and online identities around being the ideal LDS wives and mothers, and then this one scandal blew a hole through all of it. And instead of quietly retreating, they let cameras roll, which part of me, I'm like, good for you. Like, take your power back. So you're going to get faith crisis, MomTok politics, the social hierarchy of Utah County, a choreographed dance that ends in a chokehold arrest, the word swinging said about 40,000 times, more than any Mormon context in history. Producers are alleged of staging scenes. And, of course, a bunch of women crying in a Suburban. For just context, season 1, this is what you need to know. Basically, we enter the world of MomTok shortly after Taylor has this viral moment confessing on TikTok that she and her husband, along with several other Utah County couples, were soft swinging. So she delivers this revelation like she's discussing anything during her day. Now, the season begins with us meeting Taylor, who's fresh off that arrest after a drunken fight with her boyfriend, Dakota. Now, Dakota, you immediately look at and you're like, he's on stuff. Like, he's not right. Now, the rest of the cast, so Demi, Jesse, Whitney, Jen, Layla, Macy, and Michaela, are all trying to decide whether to welcome Taylor back, ostracize her, or simply use the drama to bolster their following. So it's like a carousel of birthday parties that turn into interventions, dinners that collapse into accusations, and even a truth box moment that seems designed purely for emotional detonation. But then by the finale, the group is split into unofficial factions. So you've got the so-called saints who insist they've never touched a swinging arrangement in their lives, and then the sinners who are defined more by rumor than reality. Then season 2, it takes all of those fractures of season 1 and widens them. The season introduces Miranda, as mentioned, a MomTok era friend who appears ready to reopen every wound. Miranda's presence resurfaces the swinging scandal. Meanwhile, Demi and Jesse escalate their feud. Their battles involve accusations of manipulation, lies, betrayal, and then one extremely unfortunate Fruity Pebbles allegation. Again, we're going to come back to that. And there's also a Halloween party where the husbands perform a Chip and Dale's type routine, a moment that is truly so bizarre that it somehow becomes the breaking point for multiple friendships. Season 3 arrives with an optimistic claim that everyone wants to move forward and heal, because, of course, they always do that in reality shows. This, as you could imagine, lasts for maybe 7 minutes. Taylor embarks on a personal rebrand. She's all about meditation, journaling, growth, yet still finds herself dragged into every single argument. Demi tries to rehabilitate her image while fighting off accusations that she was working with producers to stage storylines. Jessie continues her feud with Demi with such dedication it could qualify basically as an unpaid internship. Then the rest of the cast is wrestling with social media leaks, secret alliances, claims of producer manipulation, back-channel gossip, and the existential question of which friendships are real and which are simply made for camera partnerships, which again, just like Southern Charm, is always what happens when people have been on a reality show and they get a little bit of fame. So back to the Fruity Pebbles of it all. Demi and Jesse, they despise each other. And you're like, but I don't understand why. At the same time, Demi goes on a crossover episode to the Vanderpump Villa on Hulu. And she has this flirtation with one of the cast members from Vanderpump Villa named Marciano. Everybody sort of witnessed to it, and they have differing accounts of how deep it went. So there's this question of who knew what, when, and who said what to whom. Rumors circulate that Demi may have told producers about Jesse's rough patch with her husband and a possible affair during contract negotiations for season 2. And that was allegedly to gain an advantage. Now, Demi denies acting maliciously, but Jesse believes it was a betrayal, that her private marital struggle was being handed to the show as a storyline for fodder. So Jesse and Demi have become mortal enemies, and they have weaponized personal information for power. So to Demi, Jesse becomes someone who is blamed for her fallout caused by Jesse's own choices, and when the mutual distrust turns into a full-blown animosity. Wait, does that make sense? Okay, the Demi and Jesse feud. So in a nutshell, Jesse and her husband Jordan hit a rough patch. And then in the meantime, Demi films an episode on Vanderpump Villa. There's like a crossover episode, and she's pretty flirtatious with him. And there are differing accounts from both of them about how far it went. In the meantime, people are kind of speculating Who knew what, when, and who said what to whom? Rumors circulate that Demi may have told producers about Jesse's marital problems during contract negotiations for season 2, and that was allegedly to gain an advantage. Now, Demi denies acting maliciously, but Jesse, of course, believes it's a betrayal. Her private marital struggle was being handed to the show as storyline fodder. So essentially, they're both feeling like they either weaponize personal information for power, and because of it, they're mortal enemies. Then comes the Fruity Pebbles incident. So the gas line on the fire. During a cast confrontation, Jesse publicly reveals a deeply private and graphic detail about Demi's sex life with her husband. And this was, I presume, as she was driving in her car. She must have been fired up about something, and she's like, okay, you want to know what the Fruity Pebbles issue is? So wait for it. Brace yourself. That basically, Demi urinated in an intimate sexual moment, and that her husband really enjoyed it, and it tasted like Fruity Pebbles. The specific details are so weird. And again, goes back to, why would you admit this stuff on TV? But I think that they all feel like, well, in the long run, it's just going to become such a ratings bonanza that we're going to get all these opportunities out of it. Again, we're probably going to see made-for-TV movies and documentaries and tell-all books by all of the children of these cast members who are like, what in God's name happened to us? So that is why the internet went crazy, because they're all like, what is Fruity Pebbles and what was happening? And now I feel like I know too much about their sex lives. So I think this is why this show stands out, because it's, number one, highlighting a younger demographic, younger mothers. During any given season, there are cast members that are pregnant. And there are mothers, again, who are the breadwinners in their families. And then on top of that, you have women that came into the show as influencers with these perfectly curated online personas. Their brand was built on wholesomeness, coordinated family photos, immaculate homes, religious warmth, pastel-filtered motherhood. And this is just shattering that aesthetic instantly. And I think for the people that watch these videos for years and years and years, they often wondered, this can't be that perfect. And this, I think, kind of highlights that. And I think we're in an age of the internet where people want just raw authenticity, radical authenticity. Now, of course, the pendulum sometimes swings a little bit too far. So it remains to be seen, is the Fruity Pebbles incident of 2025 a little too much? I don't know. So I think that this curtain basically pulls back that influencer culture in a way that very few series ever have. It exposes what maintaining a perfect brand does to the people behind the scenes, and how impossible it is to uphold once cameras capture the real dynamics. And then there's the biggest differentiator of all. This cast breaks the fourth wall constantly. So unlike the Real Housewives universe, where production seems to meddle, or it is implied that they meddle, but never get named, the cast members get scolded for talking about the show on the show. The Mormon wives not only talk about producers, editing, contracts, and leaked storylines, they air those grievances on camera. They talk about brand deals. They accuse each other of feeding producers secrets. They openly question editing choices. They talk about who's getting storylines manipulated, who's being thrown under the bus for ratings, who's staging scenes, which moments were produced or pushed. It's reality TV about making reality TV. And I don't think you see this level of meta transparency on something like Real Housewives, where breaking the fourth wall is practically a felony. Here, it's a plot point. So that is why, if you have not watched The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, why you're going to get sucked in, why it is a viral sensation, why these big moments are talked about, and why really it was the perfect storm and it's become such a big hit. So the show airs on Hulu, Southern Charm is on Bravo. And of course, make sure that you go and check out my What to Watch list at katecasey.substack.com. And also make sure you check out those bonus episodes. Don't miss it on that. It's on Apple Podcast and on Patreon. And then as always, make sure that you are in the Facebook group, Reality Life with Kate Casey, and follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at @KatecaseyCA, TikTok, it's Kate Casey, and Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky at @KateCasey. Check back tomorrow for an all-new episode.